Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. This is Madhi Ratnasamy from Tampa Satsang group. Our offering today starts with Rosa Maldonado reading from Day by Day with Sri Ramana Maharshi, date 1/6/1946. Then I'll be singing Sri Suddhananda Bharati's Arumayum Niye Perumayum Niye song, followed by Walter L. Young reading from True Happiness, Teachings of Sri Ramana Maharshi, edited by Arthur Osborne. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Thank you.
This reading is from Day by Day with Bhagavan, and this is January 6, 1946. Mr. L. Sarma came and sat next to me. This morning he could not recognize me, though I was only about 3 feet from him. So I was advising him to undergo an operation for his cataract. He said that he had been able to retard the development of this disease, and that if he could do so in the future also, he would rather manage for the rest of his life with partial eyesight than risk an operation. Then I told him it all depended on what further lease of life he had, and in this connection I asked what the reading of his horoscope in this matter was. Thus we talked about astrology, and I asked Bhagavan for his view on astrology. He said, "It is all right. Why not? If one accepts the theory of karma, one will have to accept the theory of astrology and horoscope also." After this, Sarma, Dr. Syed, G. Subbarao, and myself talked about the science of astrology and whether there was any use or sense in knowing our future and so on. And then Mr. Subbarao told us that in the books on astrology, it is clearly laid down that what is destined to happen according to the horoscope may be modified to some extent by propitiatory pujas, etc. Mr. S. Rao went on to say how the mere dust of the feet of men like Bhagavan, how a look from them can burn away all our sins, etc. At this I asked, I have also come across some of these writings which extol the virtues of Satsang. I should like to know whether these writings are to be understood as literally true and whether there is not some exaggeration in them. Mr. S. Rao said they were literally true, but that one must have faith. And I asked him why, if that were so, those who were responsible for those texts about Satsang did not add the provision themselves, but left it to the commentators like Mr. S. Rao to add it. Thus a number of us wrangled for a few minutes, but Bhagavan kept silent, studiously as usual on such occasions. Then we too became silent. Once before I had put the question to Bhagavan himself with reference to the 5 stanzas on Satsang in the supplement to the reality in 40 verses, and Bhagavan only said then, "I have translated the verses as I found them in Sanskrit. Don't ask me." And now, January 11th, 1946. A young man from Colombo asked Bhagavan, J. Krishnamurti teaches the method of effortless and choiceless awareness as distinct from that of deliberate concentration. Would Sri Bhagavan be pleased to explain how best to practice meditation and what form the object of meditation should take? Bhagavan answered, "Effortless and choiceless awareness is our real nature. If we can attain it or be in that state, it is all right. But one cannot reach it without effort, the effort of deliberate meditation. All the age-long vasanas carry the mind outward and turn it to external objects. All such thoughts have to be given up and the mind turned inward. For that, effort is necessary for most people. Of course, every book says, be quiet or still, but it is not easy. That is why all this effort is necessary. Even if we find one who has at once achieved the mauna or supreme state indicated, you may take it that the effort necessary has already been finished in a previous life, so that effortless and choiceless awareness is reached only after deliberate meditation. That meditation can take any form which appeals to you best. See what helps you to keep away all other thoughts and adopt that method for your meditation. In this connection, Bhagavan quoted verses 5 and 52 from Saint Tayumanavar. Their gist is as follows: bliss will follow if you are still. But however much you may tell your mind about this truth, the mind will not keep quiet. It is the mind that won't keep quiet. It is the mind which tells the mind, be quiet and you will attain bliss. Though all the scriptures have said it, though we hear about it every day from the great ones, and though even our guru says it, we never are quiet, but stray into the world of Maya and sense objects. That is why conscious, deliberate effort or meditation is required to attain that mauna state or the state of being quiet. Another young man from Colombo asked Bhagavan, how are the three states of consciousness inferior in degree on reality to the fourth? What is the actual relation between these three states and the fourth? Then Bhagavan answered, there is only one state, that of conscious or awareness or existence. The three states of waking, dream, and sleep cannot be real. They simply come and go. The real will always exist. The I or existence that alone persists in all the three states is real. The other three are not real, and so it is not possible to say they have such and such a degree of reality. We may roughly put it like this. Existence or consciousness is the only reality. Consciousness plus waking, we call waking. Consciousness plus sleep, we call sleep. Consciousness plus dream, we call dream. Consciousness is the screen on which all the pictures come and go. The screen is real. The pictures are mere shadows on it. Because by long habit we have been regarding these three states as real, we call the state of mere awareness or consciousness as the fourth. There is, however, no fourth state, but only one state. In this connection, Bhagavan quoted verse 386 from Tayumanavar and said this so-called fourth state is described as waking sleep or sleep in waking, meaning asleep to the world and awake in the self. Mr. O.P. Ramaswamy Reddyar asked Bhagavan, but why should these three states come and go on the real state or the screen of the self? And Bhagavan answered, who put this question? Does the self say these states come and go? It is the seer who says these states come and go. The seer and the seen together constitute the mind. See if there is such a thing as the mind. Then the mind merges in the self, and there is neither the seer nor the seen. So the real answer to your question is, do they come and go? They neither come nor go. The self alone remains as it ever is. These three states owe their existence to non-inquiry, and inquiry puts an end to them. However much one may explain, The fact will not become clear till oneself attains self-realization and wonders how he was blind to this self-evident and only existence so long. Another visitor asked Bhagavan, "What is the difference between the mind and the self?" And Bhagavan answered, "There is no difference. The mind turned inwards is the self. Turned outwards, it becomes the ego and all the world. The cotton made into various cloths we call by various names. The gold made into various ornaments we call by various names. But all the cloths are cotton and all the ornaments gold. The one is real, the many are mere names and forms. But the mind does not exist apart from the self. It has no independent existence. The self exists without the mind, never the mind without the self." Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. This is a song by Sudananda Bharati. Arumayum Niye, Perumayum Niye. Arumayum Niye, Perumayum Niye, Uyirukkuir Niye Ramana. Arumayum Niye, Perumayum Niye, Uyirukkuir Niye Ramana. ஓடும் உயிரின் ஓட்டத்துள்ளே ஒருமையும் நீயே பன்மையும் நீயே. ஓடும் உயிரின் ஓட்டத்துள்ளே ஒருமையும் நீயே பன்மையும் நீயே. அருமையும் நீயே பெருமையும் நீயே உயிருக்குயிர் நீயே ரமணா. பெண்ணீர் பெண்ணும் நீயே ஆணில் ஆணும் நீயே. பெண்ணீர் பெண்ணும் நீயே ஆணில் ஆணும் நீயே. மண்ணீர் காணும் மகிமைக்குள்ளே மண்ணீர் காணும் மகிமைக்குள்ளே மங்களமே ரமணானே. அருமையும் நீயே பெருமையும் நீயே உயிருக்குயிர் நீயே ரமணா. சீரும் புகழும் நீயே செல்வ திருவும் நீயே. சீரும் புகழும் நீயே செல்வ திருவும் நீயே. கருதுவதும் உணருவதும் கருதுவதும் உணருவதும் பூரண ரமணானே. அருமையும் நீயே பெருமையும் நீயே உயிருக்குயிர் நீயே ரமணா. அருமையும் நீயே பெருமையும் நீயே உயிருக்குயிர் நீயே ரமணா. உயிருக்குயிர் நீயே ரமணா. உயிருக்குயிர் நீயே ரமணா.
I'm reading excerpts from the book True Happiness, The Teachings of Ramana Maharshi, edited by Arthur Osborne. The book contains discourses of Bhagavan and commentaries by Arthur Osborne, who group Bhagavan's teachings and talks together under certain themes or topics. So, for instance, under the first heading, entitled The World, Real or Illusion, we read the following. Major Chadwick was copying out the English translation of the Tamil Kaivalya Navanita when he came across some technical terms that he found difficult to understand. He accordingly asked Bhagavan about them, and Bhagavan replied. Vedanta says that the cosmos springs into view simultaneously with him who sees it, and there is no detailed process of creation. It is similar to a dream, where he who experiences the dream arises simultaneously with the dream he experiences. However, some people cling so fast to objective knowledge that they are not satisfied when told this. They want to know how sudden creation can be possible and argue that an effect must be preceded by a cause. Therefore, the scriptures try to satisfy their curiosity by creation stories. This method of dealing with the subject is called the theory of gradual creation, but the true spiritual seeker should be satisfied with instantaneous creation, or Drishti Shrishtivada. Under the next grouping in True Happiness, called The Nature of Man, Arthur Osborne states, "We come now to the very essence of the theory, the nature of man or woman themselves. For whatever they may think of the reality of the world or of God, they know that they themselves exist." The themes of existence are expounded in the following talk. Bhagavan speaking. The individual being which identifies its existence with that of the life in the physical body is called the ego I. The self, which is pure consciousness, has no ego sense about it. Neither can the physical body, which is inert in itself, have this ego sense. Between the two, that is, between the self or pure consciousness and the inert physical body, there arises mysteriously the ego sense, or I notion. It's a hybrid which is neither body nor self, and it begins to flourish as an individual being. That ego concept is at the root of all that is futile and undesirable in life. Yet, despite that ego sense, no one is ever away from his self, and therefore everyone is in fact self-realized. Only, and this is the great mystery, people do not know this and when to realize the self. Realization consists only in getting rid of the false idea that one is not realized. It is not anything new to be acquired. It must already exist, or it would not be eternal, and only what is eternal is worth striving for. Arthur Osborne comments on the frequently used analogy of deep sleep and realization. He says, "But this analogy gave rise to the mistaken idea that the state of realization or abidance in the self was a state of nescience, like physical sleep, and therefore Bhagavan guarded against this false notion, as can be seen in the following talk." Bhagavan speaking. In fact, one name for the true state of realized being is the fourth state, existing eternally behind the three states of waking, dream, and deep sleep. It is compared with the state of deep sleep, since like this, it is formless and non-dual. But it is far from being the same. In the fourth state, the ego merges in consciousness, whereas in sleep it merges in unconsciousness. The subsequent chapter in the book deals with the issue of death and rebirth. Arthur Osborne notes that nowhere did Bhagavan show more clearly that theory has to be adapted or subjugated to the understanding of the seeker than in the question of death and rebirth. For those who were capable of grasping pure, non-dual theory, he explained merely that the question does not arise. For if the ego has no real existence now, it has none after death either. On occasion, however, Bhagavan did admit of a lower, contingent point of view for those who could not hold to the doctrine of pure non-dualism. So from the level of apparent reality or duality, Bhagavan would admit as follows. Bhagavan speaking. Just as with dreams, where you wake up after several new experiences, so after death another body is found. See how a tree grows again when its branches are cut off. So long as the life source is not destroyed, it will grow. Similarly, latent potentialities withdraw into the heart at death, but do not perish. That is how beings are reborn. Here, However, Arthur Osborne interjects that from the higher viewpoint, Bhagavan would say, in truth, there is neither seed nor tree, there is only being. Next, in True Happiness, under the category Heart and Head, Arthur Osborne emphasizes how Bhagavan taught that the heart, not the head, is the true seat of consciousness, and what Bhagavan means by heart. The following talk clarifies Bhagavan's viewpoint, and Bhagavan speaking. I ask you to observe where the ego I arises in your body, but it is not really quite correct to say that the ego I arises from and merges into the chest at the right side. The heart is another name for the reality, and this is neither inside nor outside the body. There can be no in or out for reality, since it alone is. Bhagavan continues. I do not mean by heart my physiological organ or any plexus or nerves or anything like that. But so long as a man identifies himself with the body or thinks he is in the body, he is advised to see where in the body the ego I thought arises and merges again. It must be the heart at the right side of the chest, since every man of whatever race and religion, and in whatever language he may be speaking, points to the right side of the chest to indicate himself when he says I. Finally, part 2 of the book True Happiness is called From Theory to Practice, and here Arthur Osborne elucidates. Bhagavan did sometimes make pronouncements that seemed superficially like affirmations of complete predestination. When he left home in his youth, already established in self-realization, his mother sought and at last found him. He was maintaining silence at that time. Therefore, on her request to return home with her, he wrote out his reply instead of replying verbally. And here is the famous passage. The ordainer controls the fate of souls in accordance with their prarabdha karma. Whatever is destined not to happen will not happen, try as you may. Whatever is destined to happen will happen, do what you may to prevent it. This is certain. The best course, therefore, is to remain silent. However, Arthur Osborne recounts a pertinent conversation. Devotee. Has man any free will, or is everything in his life predetermined? Bhagavan. Free will exists together with the individuality. As long as the individuality lasts, so long is there free will. All the scriptures are based on this fact and advise directing the free will in the right channel. Now Osborne comments. Is this really a contradiction of the reply given to his mother? No, because according to Bhagavan's teaching, the individuality has only an illusory existence. So long as one imagines that one has a separate individuality, so long does one also imagine its free will. The two exist together inevitably. The problem of predestination and free will has always plagued philosophers and theologians, and will always continue to do so, because it is insoluble on the plane of duality, that is, on the supposition of one being who is the creator and a lot of other separate beings who are created. If they have free will, then he is not omnipotent and omniscient. He does not know what will happen because it depends on what they decide. And he cannot control all happenings because they have the power to change them. On the other hand, if he is omniscient and omnipotent, he has foreknowledge of all that will happen and controls everything, and therefore they can have no power of decision, that is, no free will. But on the level of Advaita or non-duality, the problem fades out and ceases to exist. In truth, the ego has no free will because there is no ego. But on the level of apparent reality, the ego consists of free will. It is the illusion of free will that creates the illusion of the ego. The next sentence in his answer turns the questioner away from theory to practice. Bhagavan speaking. Find out who it is who has free will or predestination and abide in that state. Then both are transcended. That is the only purpose in discussing these questions. To whom do those questions present themselves? Discover that and be at peace. This ends the excerpts I have chosen from the fascinating book, True Happiness, The Teachings of Ramana Maharshi. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We are concluding our offering from Tampa, North Carolina. Will start now. Namo Ramana. Thank you.